Have you ever asked someone how they are and they responded with a quick, "I'm fine," but something in their eyes told a different story? Maybe a shadow crossed their face, maybe their smile felt too practiced, too small, or too forced. And yet you didn't press because "I'm fine" seemed to close the conversation before it even began. We've all been there, either on the giving or receiving end of that phrase, and it's one of the most common yet most misunderstood statements in human behavior. "I'm fine" is rarely about the word itself. It is a carefully crafted mask, a pause in the chaos of emotions that feel too complicated to explain. It is a shield people raise when vulnerability feels dangerous, when expressing pain seems like too much to ask, or when the world around them is too noisy, too impatient, too demanding to notice the cracks beneath the surface. And behind those two words, there is often a storm of thoughts, fears, and emotions swirling silently, hidden from view. Think about the last time you said it. Maybe you were tired, lonely, or hurt, and someone asked, "How are you?" You could have opened up, shared the turmoil, the exhaustion, the worry, but instead you chose, "I'm fine." Why? Because saying it is easier, because vulnerability is heavy, because you are afraid of being a burden. Your mind whispers, "It's safer this way," even though deep down you know it isn't true. Psychologists call this behavior emotional suppression. It's when we hide our feelings, tuck them away behind polite words or small smiles, in an effort to maintain control or protect ourselves from judgment. And though it may feel like strength in the moment, emotional suppression has consequences. Over time, it amplifies stress, deepens loneliness, and can even distort our perception of reality. When we deny our emotions, our mind doesn't stop feeling them. It stores them, layers them, and sometimes releases them in ways we don't expect, through irritability, anxiety, or sudden bursts of sadness. But why do people do it so often? Why is "I'm fine" the default answer for so many? One reason is the fear of burdening others. Humans are empathetic creatures, but we also live in a world that moves fast, where vulnerability is sometimes uncomfortable or unwelcome. People learn early that sharing pain can be risky, that expressing it might not be met with understanding, or worse, might be dismissed entirely. So instead, they protect themselves with those familiar words. Another reason is the illusion of control. Saying "I'm fine" gives the mind a momentary sense of mastery over the chaos inside. If the outside world believes you are okay, then maybe you can convince yourself, at least temporarily, that everything is manageable. It's a fragile, delicate balancing act between self-protection and self-deception, and it's one that nearly everyone performs at some point in their lives. There is also a subtle, deeper layer, the fear of confronting oneself. Sometimes the hardest person to be honest with is ourselves. Saying "I'm fine" can become a mantra, a repeated reassurance, even when we are not fine. It is easier to say it than to explore the raw, uncomfortable truths that lie beneath. What is happening in your life? What are you afraid of? What grief or disappointment are you carrying silently? These are not easy questions to face, and so we hide behind the familiar words. And yet the people who say "I'm fine" are often the ones who notice everything. They absorb the world's chaos, they feel deeply, they process more internally than they let on. Their silence is not emptiness, it is concentration. It is careful management of a mind that often runs faster than anyone else's. It is a quiet resilience, a way of surviving when life feels overwhelming. If you look closely, you might notice subtle signs. A pause before the words, a hand that trembles slightly, eyes that flicker away, or laughter that feels too loud for the moment. The people who say "I'm fine" but aren't, are asking, without words, for someone to see beyond the mask. They are hoping in some small corner of their hearts that someone will pause, notice, and ask again with patience, without judgment, with true presence. It is easy to misinterpret their words as truth. It is tempting to accept "I'm fine" at face value, because we do not want to intrude, because it is uncomfortable to confront pain that is not ours. But learning to notice the gaps between words and emotions is a form of empathy. It is a recognition that humans are rarely as simple as the phrases they speak, and that honesty does not always arrive neatly packaged. And there is a profound lesson here about self-compassion too. Perhaps you are someone who often says "I'm fine" when you are not. Know that you are not alone. This tendency is a shared human experience, a reflection of how society, upbringing, and fear shape the ways we protect ourselves. You do not need to be ashamed of hiding your pain, but you might begin to practice allowing small openings, small truths, moments when you can be seen. Vulnerability is not weakness, it is the bridge that connects us to the understanding and support we silently crave. Psychologically, allowing yourself to express genuine emotions, even in small doses, reduces stress, enhances clarity, and fosters deeper connections. Sharing is not about burdening others, it is about acknowledging your own humanity. It is a quiet act of courage, a reclaiming of authenticity in a world that often demands pretense. So the next time you hear someone say "I'm fine," listen more deeply. Notice the pauses, the tone, the eyes that speak what words cannot. And if you are the one saying it, pause too. Ask yourself, what am I really feeling? What am I hiding, even from myself? You might find that honesty, even if shared gently and selectively, is liberating. It creates space for understanding, connection, and ultimately healing. Because the psychology of people who say "I'm fine" but aren't is not just about defense mechanisms or cognitive biases. It is about the human heart. It is about fear and courage, silence and yearning, protection and openness. It is a reminder that beneath the simple words lies the complex, beautiful truth of being human. And maybe, just maybe, noticing that truth for yourself or for someone else is the first step toward a world where "I'm fine" is not a shield, but a choice. A choice to share, to connect, to feel deeply, and to finally be understood.